Vanakkam and welcome to Kutty Review. This is Avinash Ramachandran. Today we are going to talk about Taapsee's latest film, Rashmi Rocket. Interestingly, this film talks about the concept of hyper-androgenism. The first time I heard it was, I think, 2006 when I saw Tamil Nadu's athlete Shanti Soundararajan being subject to the humiliating gender test, which then went on to become a very important topic of contention when we talk about sports in India. Then we saw Duti Chand going through the same thing. We've seen world-level athletes also go through the same thing. But this film talks about this particular person who comes from the Bhuj, who then goes on to become a national level athlete, who then faces this, again I say, humiliating gender test. So that's the thing, this film, it starts off from a usual trope of a small town girl becoming this big athlete, and then it turns into one person against the system legal drama. There are two different distinct halves. In the first half, I could see that there is a very strong sports film there. We also see a wonderful mother-daughter sentiment scene with, of course, Supriya Phatak playing Bhanuben. She's also a very pioneer in her village. She's having a school for the girl children of the village, and in any other film that would have been an interesting story to delve upon. But then this film is more about Rashmi in the first half. We see how she moves from, as I said, Bhuj to the national level athletes, where the people she meets, the trials she faces, the challenges she has to overcome, and then once everything settles down for her, she is then, what happens when system goes against you. And those are very interesting things that happen. We see the system is again one person wanting his daughter to be a champion athlete. There are small, there's very nice detours into not pinning one woman against another woman. It's a very interesting choice. But then this film again goes on and on about the media intervention, media accusation of, not doing enough research before naming and shaming people. When they say you failed the gender test, it doesn't mean you're less of a woman. It's just that you have testosterone levels more. Such an important factor is most often overlooked by media and the papers, sections of them of course, by not painting a good picture about the whole thing. So this film talks more about how it's tough for athletes to go against the system and how the system is rigged and biased against women athletes for sure, right from the pay, right from the sponsorship, right from a lot of other factors that binds them and just stops them from reaching their full potential. Taapsee is brilliant in this film, and you can see how, be it as a troubled teenager, a tough rebel mode in her, the adolescent, and then when she goes on to become this champion athlete, and then she becomes this accommodative wife to a very, very, very wonderful character played by Priyanshu Painyuli. So in every one of these facets, Taapsee has proved that she's doing a good job with the kind of roles she's choosing. Again, it's a very, very template story. You see the same kind of beats throughout, but still the casting choices, like you might not see Abishek Banerjee playing this role every single day. I liked how Gagan Thakur, played by Priyansh, is brought into the film. He's like the talent spotter of the film, and he finds Rashmi when she tries to save Gagan's soldier friend from a landmine, and it's a very beautiful way of establishing things. And I like how there is never a point where, despite playing a hyper masculine character, there is no savior complex and there is no finally the man comes to save the day kind of phenomenon happening here. And for that was also very important step forward, and I think this is where we see a lot of positive changes happening in writing, because when you have the space to do these things with actors who can prove their acting chops in roles like this, I think this is also a blueprint of how we can write other characters, like probably, let's say you're watching a mainstream commercial male-fronted cinema, it's not very tough to write a good woman character. See, Rashmi Rocket does have its flaws. It has its pacing issues, it has sudden things cropping out from nowhere, and there are, not so many obstacles exactly, because it all resolves so beautifully. But that's the thing, there's a wonderful line that's often said in this film that Haar jeet parinam hai aur koshish hi kaam hai, which just goes on to say that the victory or defeat is just a part and parcel of the game, but it's the trial, it's the strive that is important. And on that note, I think Rashmi Rocket is a very important film that talks about a very important case on a very global scale, on a very nationalistic scale, on a very large scale. It's important that a film like Rashmi Rocket is done, and as they say, Harjeet is Parinam hai, and the fact that they made this film is a very important step forward. And I think for that and for a lot of the small other things, Rashmi Rocket is quite a decent watch. And on that note, thank you. It's Avinash Ramachandran saying, Tata, bye bye, see you.